giving the business owners the means to seek information about their company, right? And they are going to need this information. Jacqueline's out traveling the world, which we're going to talk about. She's out doing things, and I'm making big business moves. I need to be able to get that information. I know the information is there. And you're saying, hey, you run your reports, get your reports, look at your reports. We're collaborating with each other. I care about your business, but you, the person who owns it, care about it a lot, or you should.
I understand delegating, right?
Yes, yes.
But once you know how to do the job, then you can go delegate. But you can't delegate something you don't know how to do. A lot of times, I'm not the first business manager they come to. First of all, they usually hire bookkeepers or
Mm-hmm.
CPAs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, they gave me this report. And I'm like, okay, but you own the software. Why didn't you go in there and run the report yourself?
Yes. Ask a question.
And they don't know how to read it. I'm like, okay, well, I gave you a cheat sheet. Did you consult with it? Because when I give them a cheat sheet, the first thing on there says, what is accounting? Assets, liability, equity, expenses. What is accounting?
Yes.
And you got to know these categories because they're on every single report that you're going to run.
Yeah.
And if you understand the foundation of what assets, liability, equity, expenses are, then you can read any report that you run and obtain the necessary information that you need. I watched a documentary 2 weeks ago, and it's this podcast woman who is covering scams. I forget her name.
Scam goddess.
Yeah, scam.
Yeah. Yes.
She talked about a business manager who scammed some hoopreneurs and NFL players out of $100 million. And it was sad because they kept on saying in the show they were busy being famous. And you should
Come
be
on.
busy about your money. You should be busy knowing that you control who goes in and who goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You're your own gatekeeper. So if you want to cut me off your QuickBooks tonight because you're salty with me, freaking cut me out. You shouldn't be getting permission from me to be like, can I have control of my book so I can take it away from you? How effective is that? It's not.
It's not. It's
know?
not.
When your credit card bounced because you're out being famous,
Mm-hmm.
just saying, and all of a sudden your credit card gets declined. Let me call my business manager. Yes, you should.
Yeah.
But better yet, how about let me log into my damn bank account or
Mm-hmm.
my damn credit card and see what's up. Then
Yes.
go call my business manager. Saying. And none of them had the ability or the knowledge or the awareness to do that. And everybody comes to me, all my clients in some way, shape, or form, sadly, they were wounded by someone in the industry that either did them wrong or took something from them or just wasn't doing their job, full stop. They stayed long enough to get scars or back
Mm-hmm.
wounds. And it's like, why'd you stay so long?
Yeah.
And one of them wanted me to pay for the sins of others. I said, I'm not paying for the sins of others. I didn't do you wrong. I said, I'm
Right.
going to do you right, and I'm going to give you all the information that you should have had so you could have stood up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge is power when it
Yes.
comes to your finances.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basic stuff. Learning how to read your balance sheet and your P&L, understanding what a statement of cash flow is.
Mm-hmm.
It's logging into your accounts without using the same password for everything. There's just so many things
Yeah.
that people need to know. I met someone when I was on vacation and they called me to complain because their bank account got hacked. I was just like, that's your fault.
Yeah.
And they're like, how could you say that to me? I said, because you think technology is the devil and you're writing checks. And so
Mm.
washed your check, was testing the waters and taking money out your account, and you're mad at the bank and you're mad at everybody, but you should be mad at yourself for
Yeah.
not adopting technology
Yeah.
to protect your money. You're banking at a credit union that is low tech and
Mhm.
doesn't have too many protocols. They should have called me the first time the check was cashed. And on check three, this is how you go about choosing the right bank. Do they have
Yes.
a good mobile app? What security measures do they have in place for me to indirectly monitor
Yeah.
what's happening in my account instead of you having to log in? Like when I make a purchase, any purchases on my preferred date credit card that I use, I get a text message. And I am happy to receive every single one text messages, because the moment I get a text message that says you just spent X amount of dollars, I look at it, I look at who the vendor is, and I'm like,
Mhm.
that's real. Because I've had $2 million stolen from me. I'm happy to get all these text messages.
That's right. Let me see where every dollar's coming from. Yes.
And the cards that I'm not using, they're on freaking lockdown. So nobody else can use them. Do
Yes.
I have to go open it to use it? Yeah, but I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
But if you're going to use your debit card, you have zero protection.
Yeah.
The bank doesn't have to give it back. Now, this individual happened to get their money back because it was in that 7-day window
Mhm.
where, that old school check didn't even clear the 70-year-old banking system that's been in place forever and hasn't
Right.
changed. I said, so that's why you got your money back. If it was after 7 days and the other bank had processed that transaction,
It's gone.
you would have been shit out of luck and you wouldn't have
Mhm.
gotten any of that money back. This isn't education. This is only educational information. You still have to confirm what I'm saying. Do your due diligence. This is not financial advice. It's
Right.
just educational. I just want to protect
You don't
myself.
just haphazardly follow the advice on here. If you want something customized for you, we will have Jacqueline's information in the description. Just take this as a conversation.
Yeah, I think everyone should be using credit cards today.
Mm-hmm.
Don't use your debit card, especially when you travel. Do not use your debit card for every
Mm-mm.
purchase that you do. You can use it to take money out in the country's currency.
You're doing a really good job of prioritizing yourself in your business and obviously having business owners prioritize themselves when they're listening to you, right?
Right.
One of the things I do want to talk about is your non-negotiables when it comes to your routine in your business.
Honestly, my primary non-negotiable is if you're not going to listen to me, don't hire me. You are allowed to have an opinion, but
Mm-hmm.
only after you do your due diligence.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
when I ask people, what made you come to that decision? And you did zero due diligence,
Mm,
I have zero respect.
there you go.
Because I always give you a choice.
Yeah.
What are you basing it off of? And you should be able, it is your thoughts. So you
Mm-hmm.
should be able to express that in some way, shape, or form. I understand that everyone isn't great at speaking up for themselves. All right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you should be able to say, I made this decision after our conversation because A, B, C. Just
Yeah.
have your basic points,
Yeah.
but say, I don't know, I just felt like it. Money's not about a feeling, because everyone can feel rich. Ask Bruno Mars. He made a song about it.
Yes. Yes. But are you?
But the question is, are you? And feeling on the surface isn't going to get you anywhere. But
Mm-mm.
having those critical understandings of why you're coming to that conclusion, because you have to live with that decision.
Yeah. Sure.
Is my non-negotiables, they vary. The software that I use when I do the tech stacking, not
Mm-hmm.
even, the only thing that is non-negotiable is I use QuickBooks Online, full stop. I don't use anything else. So if you're not using QuickBooks Online, then you shouldn't hire me.
Yeah.
And now all of my clients, they get not just my financial management, they also get business advisory. So if you don't want both,
Right.
then I'm not the right person for you.
Yeah.
Um, I do have some large firms who come to me for tech stacking or software needs, and I get that. And
Hmm.
and that works. But they're just such project work, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's non-negotiables. That's hard because the software is customized to the client. Even if it's a learning curve for me, that's not
Yeah.
the point. It's because it's good for them, then
Yeah.
then I have to expand my knowledge base.
That's fine.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. And so that's why I'm not a nicher and I don't niche out. I don't work with one specific industry. I'm a generalist. I work with all different types of industries
Yeah.
because it makes me more well-rounded. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I may take something that's for the retail industry and use it for someone in the restaurant industry,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the software just happens to be able to meet that person's specific short and long-term goals
Mm.
to help them achieve it. So,
Yeah.
but there is an argument for niching out as well.
Yeah.
Um, and that's which is better, gold or silver. It depends on your love.
Yeah, you said the long and short term goals. What are your long and short term goals? They differ for everyone, and that seems to be a part of the theme too. What is it that you want to do, and make your life fit that, or make your businesses and all that fit that?
So everyone's level of success is different.
Mm-hmm.
Know, might want to be a non-employer firm. They may
Mm-hmm.
not want to have a 6 person or 10 person or 300 person firm
Yeah.
because it takes a lot. You have to be, first of all, to have any employees, you have to be a leader.
Yeah. Very
And
true.
not everybody was built to be a leader or learned how to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to be a leader.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen by rubbing cocoa butter on your head and saying,
No,
well,
it's
I'm a leader. There's a lot of learning, and it's just in time learning that you're learning. And in that moment of crisis,
mm-hmm.
you learned what you needed just in time, or sometimes you don't learn what you need just in time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's okay because failure is the best teacher ever, right? It's just
Yes.
and when people are sad that things happen, like the person who called me and they were like, "Oh, I was robbed, my bank
Yeah.
account." And I was like, "Oh, congratulations. So now you know the power of technology." And
I love that. Congratulations.
they're like, "But I don't know anything about technology." And I said, "Isn't that why you called me so I could share?" And I said, "So let me profile what you need to do from here on out."
Yeah.
And I profiled it for them and I said, "Does that sound doable to you?" They're like, "Actually, it sounds really easy." I'm like,
Mm.
"Here you go." And I said, "And we wouldn't have had this conversation if someone didn't try and steal your money. You would have kept on keeping on writing checks,
Yeah.
banking
And
at
not
the
knowing.
same, credit union when
Yeah.
there's better out there. And this
Mm.
person is retired. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, how much interest are you getting on what's in the savings account?" They're
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. You should.
You should know. This is
You
your
know.
money. This
It's
is
your
how you
money.
live.
And I said, and if it's not making at least 4% interest, it's in the wrong account.
Mm. I love this. That's invaluable. Like that whole experience is probably invaluable for that person. Just being able to get the education specific to their situation, even though it was a negative situation, they got a lesson. And not only did they get a lesson, they got some education to help them move forward and even maybe explore other ways that technology can help them. I'm imagining you're saying this person's retired, so they're an older person. So,
Yeah, yeah, they're an older person, they're a baby boomer, but at the
mhm.
end of the day, it had to happen because it could have been worse.
Yes, yes.
And this was just a bump in their road. But it could have been significantly worse. And I truly believe that everyone, whether you have a business or not, and this person, like I said, I met them meanwhile I was on vacation and they
Hmm.
happened to live near me. We exchanged numbers and I was like, let's stay in touch. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everyone needs to analyze their financial management and how they're doing things because
Yes.
nobody teaches you that in school.
Nope.
And it's really sad. I've had Harvard graduates that are clients who were like, "Can you show me how to write a check?" when we used to use checks as
Yeah.
business owners.
Hmm.
And I would sit down and show them how to write a check in their business checkbook and how to use the register because no one showed them. I did that numerous times. And these were Harvard graduates,
Yeah.
not undergrads. They had MBAs
Prestige.
and they came from the best schools and they didn't know how to write a damn check.
Yeah.
And
That
sometimes
is
when I get checks, I would look at them and I'd be like, oh, what the
what's happening here.
they didn't write it out right.
Mm.
So I was just like, no, I don't want a check direct deposited into my bank account. They'd be like, what? I'm like, do not write me a check. Because the moment people write checks, I would see the level of ignorance because they didn't know how to write the check properly.
Yeah.
Because they
Jeez.
don't teach that in school at
Mm-mm.
any level, even
No.
to this very day as I speak to you. So I had to write a blog post about it,
Yeah.
which sadly didn't get read that much. And I still ask my clients today when they start with me, I still ask them, I'm like, check writing is a no. However, I understand that you have to do that sometimes.
Hmm.
$1 million question. Do you know how to write a check? They'll be like, of course I do. I'm like, okay, great. Write one for me and screenshot it.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I said, you heard me because you can void it out after. It's not like
Yeah. It's not right. Yeah.
I said, write a check and let me see that you know how to write a check for $20,000. Oh, I've
Mm.
never written a check that big. I said, perfect. Write that
Right.
one out. Or I said, what's the biggest check you've ever written? Oh, I've written a check for 900. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll write that check out.
Hmm.
Write me a check for 20,000. I want to see if you know how to write a check.
Yeah.
And it's not usually a even number, a whole number. It's
Right. So I was thinking to put some sense on there.
$20,464.34. I'm like, write that check out. And honestly, 90, not even 80-20 rule. 90,
Hmm.
10, 90% of the time, they don't know how to write the check out. And they've been in business. We're not talking about neophyte business owners,
Right.
talking about people who've owned their companies for 10 years or more. And very few people know how to write a check properly. And then sometimes they'll say, I deposited this check and the bank rejected it. And when I go into the account and I look at the check, I'm like, this because it's written out wrong. Of
It's a lot
course
of
they're gonna
missing
reject
things, or
it.
there's contradictory things on the check. Yeah, that is first of all, it's astonishing. But it also made me think like, when did I learn how to write a check? And it's basically because I have parents who had to count every penny. And they're like, this is how you write it. It's funny how you learn certain things. And if you're and you mentioned like the Harvard grads, I didn't go to Harvard, but I would imagine that, oh, you all are talking about these things in your home, but maybe you're not, because maybe you're
A
not
lot of
talking about
people
counting every
weren't.
penny.
I had a mama's boy, and he admitted that he was a mama's boy, and he was a Stanford graduate,
Oh,
and he was just like, my mom won't show me how to do these things, so I'm asking you. And she called me, and she's just like, you're trying to take my son away.
ugh.
And I was like, I know, I'm
I
not.
know. You
But
said earlier, you're not anybody's mother.
yeah, but he was at least he was aware of her
Yes.
love, right?
Yes.
He was fully aware of her variations of her love.
Mm.
And so he knew he had to go to somebody else.
Yeah. It's like, I do need to know these things, mom. So I'm going to talk to my business manager, have her help me out. But I don't think you love me any less. I'm not.
No, exactly. And that's what I said to her. I said, I'm not trying to take your son away. I said, your son wants to be a man, and
Right.
he realizes that there's certain things that you don't want him to know because you feel that you won't become useful or be
Oh,
of use anymore. And I said, and you're always going to be useful because you're his mom. But
yes.
I said the relationship of that use is always going to change. I
Yes.
said, and now is that time for that change to take place.
Yes.
And
Mm.
because I'm like, he's grown.
as an adult. He should be able to write himself checks. He can call and spend time with you. There's your relationships with your parents evolve as you get older. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's totally
yeah.
okay.
But yeah, it's interesting to ask the question, when and where did you learn how to write a check? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's it. That's very interesting because I'm thinking like, oh, I remember I had to do this and this is how money went, but
Yeah.
that's just because personal life stuff. So, talking about the name of the podcast, Beyond the Numbers, we're talking about legacy, impact, advice. One thing I do want to talk about when it comes to you is that you are very good at building a business that fits your life. Because the people don't know this, you're well traveled. You have a lot of cool things that you do outside of the cool things that you do in your business. How do you prioritize that? What do you do to prioritize yourself?
It's like what they say when you're on the plane, if the oxygen mask falls down, you have to
Mm-hmm.
put your oxygen masks on first before you help your loved ones, right?
Yes, yes,
And I believe that wholeheartedly. Like in construction, the foreman's house is still under construction, but he'll finish all of his clients. And it's,
right.
no, yours should be the best of the best,
Mm-hmm.
even though the best is always changing. And you
Yes,
have that sort of skill. And
yes,
I just believe that again, I want to live my dreams. I don't want to dream my dreams. So for that reason, I always make sure my advice that I give others, I'm doing it for me too.
yeah,
Lead by demonstrating, not by just doing what I say, but I'm like, I'm practicing what I say, so you should too, because
yeah.
I know that it works. I use QuickBooks on a business and personal level.
Mm-hmm.
My QuickBooks is in order.
Mm-hmm.
I have some of the tech stacks on some of my companies that
Mm-hmm.
I've given to others.
Yeah.
I'm always changing. I used to be on desktop and I went on to online. And I remember the year that I went online, I had just bought the desktop software, brand
Ooh,
spanking new, because you always have to update
every
the
year.
desktop every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned around, even though I had spent that good money,
Mm-hmm.
and ignored it and went online
Yeah.
and moved my companies online. And it wasn't for the faint of heart, because I was my own guinea pig in that desktop to online migration, and saw
Yes.
what worked, what didn't work, because I
Yes.
had to do it 10 times for myself. And when I said, okay, you shouldn't migrate desktop to online, you should just start the year over based on your fiscal year,
Mm-hmm.
do a tourniquet, because you can always own the data on desktop.
True.
Yeah, yeah. And how many times do people look back at their data? Never.
Never.
Okay. They don't even
Mm.
freaking run their reports. Okay. So don't tell me, oh, I need all of this.
Was the last time you ran a report for a couple years ago?
Yeah, exactly. And,
Yes.
and I do. I throw that their way. I'm just like, okay, so what was the reports that you ran this week? I don't even say the last time. I'm like,
Right.
this week,
Yes.
that you need all that back data from
Right.
the year.
Right.
But yeah, it just, it's not a comfort, because change is hard.
Yes.
And especially on technology platforms,
Mm-hmm.
it can be not only hard, but it can be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And people are giving pushback, because it's not even that it's hard, because you're hiring me, so it's done for you. You're not
Right.
even doing it yourself.
Right.
So what's the pushback? I'm an
Yeah.
expert at migrations, so let me do
Mm-hmm.
it for you.
Yeah.
But there's some business owners who are awesome, and they understand that, and they come to me and they're like, I want you to do this for me. How are you going to go about doing it? And I talk like Shakespeare, trippingly off the tongue. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to do
Right.
this. And then you'll be done. And they're like, and how long will that take? And I'm like, I have to see the patient to be able to answer that question. I can't
Right.
diagnose without seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the amount of bank accounts and how far they are into the year, will
Yes.
determine how long or how short that pivot, aka migration, is going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So
Ugh. I I can talk to you all day. I'm not try not to take up too much of your time, but I love the fact that you not only practice what you preach, but the proof is in you. You have multiple businesses, multiple successful businesses. You are successful in your own right, and you help others in that way. Your clients in that way become successful, and you're not saying anything to anybody else that you don't go and implement, and the proof is in your own life. So I'm excited for the clients that you have now,
Okay.
because they get to have that like insight from you, and to have that level of care and concern for their money, because it's their money and you're telling them, hey, this is how you look at these things. This
Yeah,
is what is.
even if you delegate, you still
Yeah,
have to be able to look at it.
you do.
And to answer the last part of your question,
Mm-hmm.
how I decided to do what I do and be well traveled is because I consulted my numbers. I
Yes.
went and I looked at my numbers and I said, what's my low months? What's my most productive months where I'm busy, right?
Yeah.
And what are the months where I'm not busy? And when I really decided I'm going to travel 3 to 6 months out of the year, I'm like, okay, I'll start with three. and and, and because I saw 3 clear months where I could travel, and I went for it. In 30 days, I'm
Mm,
gone. 30 days, I'm gone. 30 days, I'm gone. Equals 90 days out of the year, which is 3 months that I'm gone. And I'm
yes.
like, can I up this to another three? But every year is a different year. But my baseline is 3 months out of the year.
Mm,
I'm gone because I've been really busy during COVID. Even though
yeah.
COVID was happening, I was like, what country can I go to right now? Because I was
Mm-hmm.
at the airport when COVID happened. And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
sorry, I was supposed to go to Morocco.
Oh wow.
And I was like, what do you mean we're leaving? What's happening right now? I was
Yes.
salty. And I went home and I turned on the news and I was like, what's happening? What? Huh? What did they say? Like, why am I still in my house?
This is unusual.
And I attempted to travel during COVID, but I was so busy
I'm
with
sure.
people who needed to play catch up.
Mhm.
There was no time to do anything but work 12-hour days.
Oof.
And I was like, I'm not complaining. I made amazing money during that time.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just like, this is crazy. But it was good that a lot of people saw, oh, I need to get my shit in order. It's an emergency preparedness.
Yeah.
I've been working remote since 2000 because I realized when people didn't see the color of my skin,
Mm,
I made more money. But
mm,
when they saw the color of my skin and thought they knew what my age was, they
mm-hmm.
were like, you're Jacqueline Edwards? Have a seat. We'll be right with you. And then you would see them in the back office looking out like, "Eh." and then because it was still desktop days, they literally sit right next to me like they were my twin and
Right.
breathe down my neck
Mm,
every keystroke I did on the computer
mm.
to see if I was doing it right or if I was gonna, I don't know, rob them or something. I don't know. But their mistrust in me made me freaking amazing at knowing my craft on that
Mm,
software. I can tell you anything without even looking at it. I
mm.
can instruct you how to walk through it. But I don't do desktop anymore. So nobody call me because nobody should be in desktop.
Yeah, and you should be on there. But I could, just letting you know.
Just another quick disclaimer.
Yeah.
Sandy happened, 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
I'm here in New York. And
Yeah.
all of those made you understand what do you have to do for your business to be functional when your town shuts down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And until COVID came along, I don't think 99% of business owners thought about that. But now it's a thing, which is good. And then there's still some businesses who are still ill prepared if it were ever to happen again because they
Right.
didn't adopt the protocols that they should
Right.
to be able to be fluid and do business from anywhere.
I didn't realize you were remote since 2000. That's amazing. I've
Yeah.
always thought about as I've progressed through my career, I would love to be able to work remotely. And that's always something that I do. But even when I started, I was like, why can't we work remotely? I went through college and I had some of my classes were online and they just started online classes when I was in college. So I was like, why can't I just do this remotely? And the fact that you were remote since 2000 is just it just shows how innovative and how forward thinking you are as a business owner.
Yeah, there was software out there for that, and the team viewer became my friend. It
Yeah.
was funky and crappy at times until they got their act together, but I was one of the first people who started to use team viewer. Why not?
Yeah, get on it, get with the times and keep up with technology. I'm actually going to conclude this talk by just giving you your flowers. I know I've been
I
talking great, just giving you your flowers because I think it's very important for people to know that what you do is just invaluable to not only your clients but the people that you talk to. You just give information away. It feels like it just falls out of your mouth. And because I know that you're so full of knowledge and you just continue to just be giving in that way. And I don't know, maybe you do have other people in your life who say, thank you for giving this to me. But I personally have benefited from our conversations, from even the impromptu emails that you send that come across your way. That you then again, you say, I'm implementing this. This is something that I think others
Yeah.
might want to use. So let me send this to the people that are in my contact list or the people that I'm in community with. And I like to think that we're in community with each other. So,
Yes, we are. That's a great
yes.
way of putting it, community with. And here's the sad thing about, I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You were the only person out of 14 people who acted on that.
Yeah.
The results came out the other day, yesterday. So you can
Yes.
see that I was on it, you were on it, and I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, all right.
Throwing it. Yes.
And that's why the premise, my foundational premise is some will, some won't. So what next? I had
Yes.
a friend who was really very well off, and we spent a lot of time together when they were alive. And they were like, "Why are you always giving away all those golden nuggets?" I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, because it goes in one ear and out the other.
Yes. People are not gonna. They don't
They're not
grab
listening.
onto it.
I'm like, they're really not listening. They're just, all they remember is, oh, wow, she was fascinating. But they don't remember that I just told them how they could actually turn around and make $20,000.
Yeah, I did. So when I first heard you, I just said, "Oh wait, she is fascinating." But it was like, "Oh, this is something. This is a person that I need to know." And the fact that I'm able to know you is just, to me, is just an amazing thing.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
as another a black woman, and just seeing you have this way of being is just it is admirable. And the fact that you live your life how you want to live your life.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
If there's one thing that I can say about Jacqueline that I've learned is that she doesn't just talk about her success, she actually lives it. She built her business to support her life. She's a very lived one and not the other way around. And she's given that same level of clarity and truth to her clients every single day. If you got as much information out of this conversation as I did, please drop a comment below. Let us know your biggest takeaway. I actually have a few that I want to highlight just in case you missed it. One thing that she said during our conversation was stop dreaming your life away, meaning that you need to take action instead of just thinking about success. Another thing that really hit home for me was the three things to success, which is integrity, energy, and intelligence. I love her comment that she said when she said, "If you're not going to listen, don't hire me." She describes herself as like a business consultant, a management consultant, but she offers very sage advice. Again, advice that she wouldn't like offer to someone that's not herself, advice that she follows on her own path. And I think that's just invaluable to anybody that has her as a consultant. So please let us know what you thought about the video, what you thought about the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Numbers for more conversations like this one with business owners who are doing things their way and making it work. Until next time, take control of your numbers, take control of your business, and take control of your life. I'll see you in the next one.